Hey, I'm Keith Snow. Welcome to another episode of Harvest Eating. Today we're going to do a pan sauteed pork cutlet with a tomato chipotle prune sauce. It's going to be awesome. The first thing we need to do is season up our pork medallions or cutlets. This is boneless pork. What we're going to do is season it up with the Harvest Eating pork loin and chop seasoning mix. This is a great mix. It's got a lot of flavor in there. Some of the key spices in here are rosemary, it's got thyme, some onion, garlic, a little bit of tomato. It's an awesome seasoning mix and it gives this pork a beautiful flavor. Another thing to note, this is 100% organic mix. There are no preservatives in here, no anti-caking agents, just good stuff. Okay, now that we have these seasoned up well, and you can see that I put quite a bit of the spice mix on them. You don't want them kind of halfway seasoned. They should be good and coated. Over here we've got a good heavy-duty saute pan here, or sauterne, with some sides on it, because this will splatter a little bit, particularly when we make a pan sauce later. So now we're going to come in and just add a little bit of extra virgin olive oil, and now we're going to lay our pork right down in the skillet. Okay, our pork is in there. We're going to set this plate aside. Now, one thing, don't be messing around with that. Let that cook. You want the bottoms to get a nice caramelization on there. You won't get it if you start shaking it and playing around. Just leave it alone. Let's talk about some of our other ingredients now. Again, I said tomato chipotle prune sauce. So for our tomatoes, we have a little bit of tomato paste. And then here is a chipotle pepper. And a chipotle pepper is a smoked jalapeno. What I did is I took this pepper, I put it down on a cutting board, and I just put a little mince on it, and I mince it up finely because you don't want to get any big cuts, big chunks of that in your mouth. And then here are my prunes, and these are prunes that come from a bag. Prunes, of course, are dried plums, and I put these on the cutting board. They're very sticky, they're a little hard to cut, and I just broke them down into a fine mince using my chef's knife. I've got a little bit of good red wine, and then I've got some good red wine vinegar. And those are the components that are going to allow me to build a great pan sauce. The pork is cooked for a few minutes, and you can see here that it's got a nice caramelization on it. The edges have turned brown, and that's what you want. And remember, these are very thin. They're maybe 3/8 of an inch thick, so these are going to cook quite quickly. You don't want dry pork. All right, our pork is cooked long enough, and I'm going to take it off and lay it right on my board here. And you can see I've picked up some nice color. Now it's time to get onto the pan sauce, and this is going to happen quickly. The first thing we're going to do is take our tomato paste and drop that right in. And then our prunes are going to go right in. And then our chipotle pepper. Now we're going to switch to a whisk and start stirring this around. And remember, everything in the pan is filled with sugar, tomato paste, those prunes. So you can see it's going to want to start to burn on the bottom, and that's perfectly fine. Once you get a little bit of flavor and aroma coming up, now you want to deglaze with your red wine. So you add around 1.5 cups of red wine. And now you want to stir these ingredients through. You're going to take your red wine vinegar and add a little glug of that, about maybe a tablespoon. That's going to give a nice little acidity. I've got this over medium-high heat. Now it's time for some kosher salt, a little bit of black pepper. And stir all this through. And as you can see, this sauce really comes down very quickly. It's pretty much done at this point. What we're going to do is turn it off. We'll do a little bit of cleanup here. And now I want to take my butter right here, go over to my butter crock. And what we're going to do now, let me just clean my hands real quick. We're going to do two French classical terms. One is called monter au beurre, and that means to mount or to enrich a sauce with butter. And so we're going to monter au beurre with about 2 tablespoons of good cultured butter. And the other thing that that does, classically speaking, is it brings a little bit of glacé or sheen to your sauce. The sauce is a little dull looking. but when you swirl this butter through and you mount it with your butter, it's going to enrich it, give it a great mouthfeel, a nice sheen, and it will also help to emulsify or thicken your sauce up. So as you can see, this is done real time. This is 2 minutes. Your sauce is done. Now let's move on to the plate up. We'll turn the burner off. We've got a nice white plate here. What we're going to do is reach over here, and we have got some beautiful cheese grits. Now these are local cheese grits. There's a video and a recipe on the website. Just search that up. These are gorgeous local grits with some cheddar cheese melted in them. We're going to put a nice serving of these right on the plate like that. And now we'll take our pork, those pan juices, get in there. That's perfectly fine. And now we're going to switch from the whisk and take a nice serving spoon and put our beautiful sauce right on there. Just like that, maybe a little bit more. So there you have the finished dish. It's a pan roasted or sauteed pork cutlet with a tomato chipotle prune sauce. You can do this at home. You just saw me do it. It's awesome. Give this a try.